3 years as Alexander Hamilton's secretary. 3 years as his hidden wife. And 1 month ago my entire life fell apart. Kidnapped on my way home from work. I was kept in a windowless warehouse for 4 days screaming myself hoarse. My wrists torn raw from the nylon that chewed through flesh. I heard them calling Alexander 27 times. Not once did he bother to answer. Instead, I saw the tabloids the next morning. Love and Air. Alexander Hamilton photographed with childhood sweetheart Stephanie Winslet leaving a private resort in the Bali. While I was suffering, my husband was with his secret lover, my sister Stephanie. I accept your offer. I said coldly, the air sharp with finality. I will disappear from Alexander Hamilton's life forever, and marry the stone heir instead. The diamond wedding ring clattered onto the mahogany table like a final nail in a coffin. Across the lavishly furnished drawing room, Frederick Winslet, my biological father, froze mid-sip of his tea. You, what? He rasped, voice filled with disbelief. I said I will marry the stone heir who is on his deathbed. I repeated, meeting his stunned gaze. The forced engagement meant for your beloved daughter Stephanie? I will take it instead. 3 years as Alexander Hamilton's secretary. 3 years as his hidden wife. And 1 month ago my entire life fell apart. Kidnapped on my way home from work. I was kept in a windowless warehouse for 4 days screaming myself hoarse. My wrists torn raw from the nylon that chewed through flesh. I heard them calling Alexander 27 times. Not once did he bother to answer. Eventually, one of the men laughed, holding the phone out on speaker. A woman's voice came chuckling. The boss has better things to worry about. Try someone who gives a damn. They left me there after that. I don't remember how I was found. The police said I had been unconscious. A week of starvation, a day away from death. When I was wheeled into the hospital, I kept asking for my husband but he never came. Instead, I saw the tabloids the next morning. Love and Air. Alexander Hamilton photographed with childhood sweetheart Stephanie Winslet leaving a private resort in the Bali. And just like that, the illusion I had wrapped around my life disintegrated. While I was suffering, my husband was with his secret lover, my sister Stephanie, the girl who was swapped with me at birth. After spending 16 years in countryside with my poor grandmother, it was discovered that I was the biological daughter of the Winslet household. We cannot let go of the daughter we have raised for 16 years. Unlike you, Stephanie is fragile. Lavina. Now that you are staying with us, don't covet what is not meant for you. That was the first thing they told me while looking at me like I was a blemish on their legacy. I know you don't want Stephanie to marry a dying man, but you also need Stone Corporation's help to sustain your business. Well, congratulations. Your unwanted daughter will do it instead. Eerie silence swallowed the room. Frederick Winslet stared at me. My biological mother said nothing. Her face morphed in shock. I stood up slowly, gathering the last shreds of dignity I had left. In return, I said coldly, erase me from the Winslet family. No name, no inheritance. Pretend I was never born. I paused, then added, voice cracking just slightly, tell my husband that this is my last gift to him, freedom. The Hamilton villa was unusually quiet when I stepped in. Walking inside with cautious steps, I breathed shakily at the sight in front of me, an intimate candlelight dinner straight out of my dreams. Was this for me? Then I heard his voice. I get it, Stephanie. It's alright if you can't come this time. Don't worry, baby. I messed up most of the recipes anyway, so how can I let you taste such awful food? Lavina will be home soon, so the food won't go to waste. I stood there frozen, tears stinging before I could stop them. I stepped forward slowly, quietly, as if I didn't already know I didn't belong in this scene. Alexander turned around, taken aback by my presence before a scowl formed on his lips. Lavina, why are you so late? If someone sees you working like this, they might think you work more than me. The CEO was just finalizing some deals. Whatever, you always say I don't try enough, he added. So I wanted to surprise you this time with a bow rose my throat and I didn't answer. Couldn't. My gaze drifted to the roses, too beautiful. They looked just like my wedding bouquet. Too much like it. Maybe that was why my fingers trembled as they brushed the petals, trying to pretend, to believe, just for a second, that it was all meant for me. Slap. My hand recoiled instantly as a sharp sound echoed throughout the manor. Pain stung across my knuckles, making me recoil in shock like I was burned. Alexander had slapped my hand away so hard that red bruises started to appear instantly. I stared at my husband of 3 years in horror, making his face drop. Stunned. Lavina. His voice was low, cautious, as if unsure what he had just done. I didn't mean. I wasn't thinking right, okay? You know I don't like people touching my things. His eyes darted to my hand as he hurried inside to bring a first aid box. I was just worried that you would ruin the arrangement I spent hours preparing. He trailed off, his words dying somewhere between excuse and guilt as he tended to the wound while I sat frozen. He picked up the bouquet, thrusting it toward me as he was done. Here, you can have them. It's alright. I spoke trembling. Forget it, alright. Didn't you always complain to have a dinner with me? Today is your day. With that, various dishes were piled in my plate like I wasn't a human but a feeding pig that he wanted to use to throw off the waste while he just took a few bites for himself. I remembered it clearly when we were newly married. I had once playfully stolen a bite from his plate. He hadn't said a word to me then. Instead, he called the butler over and said coldly, throw it all out. It is contaminated now. Since that day, I never ate beside him again, and now that I was leaving, there was no point in starting. I am not hungry. I just want to sleep. The atmosphere turned ice as Alexander's smile froze. I did so much for you and you are still throwing a tantrum. For God's sake, Lavina, it was an accident dash. And I will forgive you if you just sign these documents. My voice was quiet, too quiet, calm, deceptively so. Alexander's brows furrowed as I slid a document across the table. What is this? Just some formalities, I said, forcing my gaze away from him. For the future, as my secretary, can't you just handle this yourself instead of bothering me? This is ruining my mood. It was at this moment his phone buzzed. Stephanie. The name flashed bold and bright across the screen. His face lit up instantly, as if something inside him clicked back into place. Moving away from my eyes, he answered without hesitation. Yes, I am still at the villa. I was just waiting for you. No problem. Give me 5 minutes. I watched the man I married, casually walk past the remnants of the dinner he claimed to make for me, walk past the bruises still blooming faintly on my hand and pick up a pen. I will sign whatever you want, he said, not even glancing at the pages. Just don't stay mad, okay? His signature scrawled across the bottom of the last page like the final cut of a blade. Sharp, irrevocable. He set the pen down and reached for his coat. We will talk later, Lavina. This is urgent, so just eat by yourself and go to bed. I would be late. Then he left, just like that. No questions, no goodbyes. The door shut behind him, soft but final. A silence bloomed around me so loud it rang in my ears. My gaze drifted to the folder. Final decree of divorce. He didn't even read the title, and I didn't stop him. As soon as I clicked the photo of the divorce agreement and sent it to a number, a message instantly beeped on my phone. Damian Stone, now that you have agreed to marry me, 1 month from now, I will come to claim what belongs to me. The next morning when I arrived at the Hamilton Enterprises, the office felt colder than usual. Lavina Alexander's Alexander's commanding voice ordered me from inside our joint glass cabin, cold and detached like he was the boss and I was a mere employee, like he wasn't the man who had once kissed me, held me in his arms. When I stepped inside he didn't bother to look up from his phone or ask me to sit. Close the door. Only then did he lift his eyes. Pulled unreadable. Lavina, I will keep this brief, he said, standing with a rigidness that made the room feel even smaller. People are starting to talk and frankly, I can't afford to have my reputation dragged down by you. As of this moment, you are fired from your secretary position. Don't bother showing up at this head office again. Starting tomorrow, you will report to a different branch, far away from here. He paused looking at me with distant eyes. Stephanie will take over as my secretary. The atmosphere chilled as I stood frozen without being able to utter a single word. His words felt like a dagger was being pushed in my heart. This was the firm I helped Alexander build from scratch. When the lead investor laughed at his pitch, I chased the old man in a torrential downpour. For Alexander to have one more chance for presentation, I worked as a free slave in the investor's company for one long year, ran errands for him like a dog and kneeled in front of his office for an entire night, just for one single chance. I never asked for credit and neither claimed any shares when the company went successful. Instead I worked 5 shifts a day for 3 years without a break. Even when I was sick I refused to take rest, all because I wanted to lessen my husband's burdens. And yet he did not even think twice before throwing me away. At one time I felt he kept our marriage secret to keep me safe from jealous slanders from media houses, but only now I understood. He never felt any emotion for me in the first place. Alexander's love has always belonged to Stephanie. Lavina, you have enough experience to work anywhere, but think about your sister. Stephanie is fragile and her husband just died, so she needs support. In return I will dash. Alright. The room stilled. The rehearsed excuse crumbled midair. That's all? Aren't you mad? Alexander blinked, somewhat taken aback. His hand tightened around the velvet box in his hold that he meticulously prepared. Last night he had ordered a customized diamond pendant with our initials on it, a present to lessen the blow, like a bone to the dog. If that is all, I will take my leave. Lavina, what do you mean? Aren't you going to ask me anything? He expected me to cry and beg to remain by his side, to be angry that I was being sacked, and my calmness made him open his mouth in protest. At that moment the door burst open without a knock. Alex, I have sorted your documents. Do you need me to bring anything else? Oh, Sister Lavina? Stephanie's voice rang with artificial sweetness, all doe-eyed innocence as she stepped inside, oversized bag swinging. Crash. The sound was piercing. A music box with a ballerina kept on my smaller desk hit the floor and splintered open. A soft, broken melody spilled out before dying. My breath caught in my throat as I looked at the broken porcelain doll on the ground. The one Alexander and I had made in a pottery class together after I had a miscarriage. It had a hidden compartment, holding the sonogram picture of the child we never got to meet. Sister, I am so sorry. It was an accident. Please don't be mad. Stephanie gasped, fake tears escaping her eyes as Alexander rushed to her side. Why would she be mad at all? Alexander intervened. Lavina, why do you keep such useless junk by your side? What if Stephanie got hurt? Useless junk? The only thing that made me survive depression as I grieved the child I miscarried while Alexander returned to work the next day was junk.